Hey, what's up, guys? SKNOVA here with day 4 of Faction Wars. Today we're going to finish up the Orc and Dark Elf crypts. We'll talk about the two Faction War factions that'll be up tomorrow, which are the Undead Hordes and the Banner Lords, and that'll round out all of the factions so far. It is double Void Day, so I'm going to pop open some more Void Shards, and that should make a pretty long video. So let's jump right into the Faction Lords Orc Crypt here. I'll show you my team. Similar strategy as yesterday. I just blew through the first part of it. I again have a pretty powerful team, except for I've swapped out Seer. I actually took all of her gear off. Very sad that she's now nerfed into vault status, pretty much. Bonekeepers are amazing. Rask is great, and I am fortunate or unfortunate enough to have 2 Robars. But for Faction Wars, they're actually super awesome, and they synergize really well together, as you will see coming up here. A little hard to judge because they kill everything in one shot, but because of their A1 stuns and their A3s doing extra damage to guys that are stunned, it makes them super powerful. So I think as we progress further into the Faction Wars and higher stages, and you're not just one-shotting everything, so basically one Robar can take out the entire team, and having 2 of them will combo very nicely together. Yeah, I think it will be pretty fun. I actually have both of them in stun sets as well to add to the stunniness of the team, and the other ones are just kind of just kind of fills along, unfortunately for now. Rask is an amazing healer, top tier healer, so if we do get in trouble, we still have him. Let's stop the auto there and do the kind of important part, because this is planning for the future. Ooh, so this A1 has double provoke. That can be super, super annoying, because the boss is going to take away 2 of your heroes. They're only going to use their A1s, which is usually not your most powerful ability. That will become very difficult the further you go on. So if you have people that can move debuffs, that would be ideal. I don't think the orcs really do have anyone that are debuff removers. That could be tough to deal with. That's the AoE with True Fear, which again is just super annoying. So you want to avoid that by being faster than the boss and reducing turn meter whenever possible. My team doesn't have that either, really. And 20% chance to freeze one hit. Oh man, that is also super annoying. So let's start taking out the minions with Robar. There's the stun, boom. There's the other stun, boom. I mean, we rank Robar as not super powerful because the stun is a 50% chance, but, it seems to proc a little bit higher than 50%, funny enough. So then, you might as well do his AoE, because also, as you're procking and hitting everybody, it starts reducing your other cooldowns, which is pretty awesome. So let's do it. Wild Swing, takes my damage down, didn't get frozen, so that's good. Now we can use the Crack Armor ability, or should we use the Weaken ability? Let's put Weaken up, because we already have. Increase defense, good, didn't get frozen there. There's the True Fear AoE ability, pretty annoying. Usually just use the A1 on Rask, heals everybody. Fantastic. Increase damage to people under stun, so then, boom, get through that guy. Now, Bonekeeper is all single targets, and we'll just use her A3 here. No, I don't really have her very geared up, so that didn't do much, but that's okay. Oh, there's the lost ability. I'm not going to kill him, so I think we just use the Weaken again, because, oh, yeah, missed that one too. Wow, True Fear is too powerful. Oh, there's the Provoke. That's okay too. Oh, got that one off. Let's put up the... Nope, no decreased defense. That's pretty tough. So see, having a healer makes a huge difference. Let's do the Crack Armor. Why not? More Bonekeeper getting picked on. Always picks on the level 50s. Good thing we have healing. I think just the main ability. I don't know which one would do the most damage. His A1 is pretty decent. I think Zargal needs more accuracy to make that work better. That's probably what she's missing. Actually, I'm not sure if I actually put any gear on Bonekeeper. So that might be my fault. So this is a little bit slow, but hey, let's use everyone's A1 abilities. I don't think we're in too much risk here. Oh, Vrask with True Fear. Too bad. Too bad, Vrask. There we go. Weaken up. Attack. We're out. We're out. Now just auto it. Not really too scared of dying here. So should be able to pull it off here without... Oh no! And we only get 1 star because we died right at the end. Oh, that is too bad. So I was going to do the pause trick to see if that worked, if I wouldn't lose the keys, but it was on auto, so I screwed that up. Hey, it happens. So be it. Not the end of the world to only get 1 star on the boss instead of 3. But that is a super annoying Faction Wars boss, so that is probably going to cause trouble for quite a few people. Lesson learned, put gear on your stuff. I'm pretty sure all these guys are geared up. The Sylar has a new speed aura for 22%. Speed auras are very important because you want to be able to stop that Faction Wars boss from taking a turn. So the faster you go, and the more you can reduce turn meter, the better off you will be. Like I mentioned yesterday, Dark Elves have tons of AoE characters. So this team has tons of AoE. On top of all being level 60, which should make this one go much easier. Now that I put some gear on my Bonekeeper, probably would have 3-starred that last one. But that is too late now. Just want to see this boss. Most people probably have a better Dark Elves team than they had a Orc team. Let's see. Oh, provoke ability for 2 turns. That is the same as before. True Fear is the same. And Freeze is the same. So this boss is the same as the one for Orcs, actually. Like identical. Which is okay. So we'll just auto it, see what happens. This team is much stronger, so with a lot more turn meter reduction, people like Coldheart and Sylar and Lua all have turn meter reduction. We have decreased attack. Yeah, that's kind of like a cakewalk with this setup. So cool. Let's go ahead and talk about the upcoming factions for tomorrow. So if you go into the Faction Wars, you can see that the Undead Horde will be tomorrow, and Bannerlords will be tomorrow. Ooh, and we got 200 or some silver there. Ooh. Alright, so who are good heroes to use if you so have them? We'll start off with Undead Horde. Undead Horde actually have quite a few top tier heroes in general. Crypt King Grawl, Skartosis, Bad El, and Nethril, I think, are all great heroes. You can use all of them for this. Skartosis and Bad El kind of like oppose each other in a sense that Skartosis removes debuffs and heals people based off the debuffs he removes. Bad El also removes all debuffs, kind of making Skartosis' ability not useful. So probably choose one or the other, depending on how many debuffs are actually out there. You could use both. Like if the clan boss or the Faction Wars boss for whatever reason puts up tons of debuffs constantly, you need to always keep removing them. Having both is not bad. But for the healing, probably take Bad El over Skartosis for this kind of stuff. Bloodgorge and Mashald will probably be hanging out in your vault, mostly not leveled, so definitely you can use them for this. Bloodgorge is definitely kind of like single target oriented. He has a block revive on his A3. He has a block cooldown ability, which probably doesn't work on the boss anyways. Still rendering him kind of useless, but he is decently high single target damage if you so have him. As is Mashald, who has pretty cool A1 with built-in lifesteal. That part's pretty good. If you require heal reduction, his A3 does heal reduction, so those are the only real advantages for using that, but so far, from what we've seen, the bosses don't really heal. So no worry. Nethril, already top tier, tons of damage, multi-hit A1 with poison, and a AoE stun, or turn meter decrease. I mean, the full package, you know, top tier hero, use them. That's a given. Kipring Grawl, decrease attack is very good. The HP burn ability and the HP burn extending, hard to do. He'd be really good if you could combo him with other HP burn characters. People like little old wretch down here who has HP burn, with his HP burn. Like that could be pretty good because it CCs things, could CC the extra minions. So that part's pretty good. But you know, he's a support type character. You have to choose how to do a bunch of damage. I would prefer actually more turn meter decrease people. Like Lich, we'll just kind of skip ahead here. Lich has a full turn meter depletion ability with a decreased speed. That is like the ideal ability for what you want for these faction war bosses. They're the provokes, the stuns, the true fears, super powerful CCs, and the less they go, the faction war boss goes, the better off your team does. So Lich is actually very good for this because of that. Gorgrab and Seeker both have turn meter boosting abilities, so you could bring either one. Gorgrab comes with the built-in revive, so if you're really having trouble 3-star, you have a really weak, level 40 hero that gets picked on, and you want to revive them just before the last round, before you kill the boss. There you go, that's what you could do. Gorgrab's turn meter increases a little bit less than Seeker's. That's the only downside. Otherwise, these two are pretty much interchangeable. You could potentially bring both, but their damage is not great. So I don't know which one you want to take. Seeker comes with the provoke, Gorgrab comes with the revive. Whichever one you have level 60 or both you can use. The Dark Aethel, she has a bit of AoE. Her A2 does an AoE and places decreased speed, so that's a good ability. Her A3, you probably won't be killing many enemies with this. She kind of seemed like she was designed for a spider boss, but hard to use on a high level spider boss. It is what it is. I would not recommend putting much effort into leveling and gearing up Dark Aethel. Husk is in a similar boat. He had kind of like a smorgasbord of abilities. He has this one single target to provoke, which I don't think works on the boss. He has his enemy max HP AoE, which is kind of cool, so that would be good for spiders, except he's wrong. Affinity. It also plays a stun, so this is as big, his good ability is here. He also has an ability that does a little bit of extra damage based off his HP, because he's an HP hero, but his other attacks require attack, so that's kind of hard to build for in a sense, and this ability tends to not hit all that hard anyways. So yeah, not too great of these two. Graham is a debuff consumer, poison consumer, and can do a bunch of damage. I don't know exactly how much damage it does. The problem is there's only a select few characters in this list that kind of really spread poisons, Bad L being one of them. So if you have Bad L, maybe you can consider it, but again, not really a top tier choice. Lich, as I pointed out, has a buff for the heal, so it's kind of good to have a healer. That's really good, and this ability is really good. So if you're going for an epic, I think Lich is one of the better choices here. Hexia is pretty much just bad, so don't bother putting much effort into her, because even if you do use her here, you're not going to use her very many other places. If you don't have any other choices, sure, but there's probably some rares that are better than her as well. Corpse Collector is one of the newer heroes with the Perfect Veil series. She is kind of interesting. She has the Leech. She gives you the two worst debuffs that you probably don't need. I don't know if decreased accuracy actually prevents True Fear. So, I mean, maybe there is a purpose for it on these faction war bosses, but the boss doesn't heal, so heal reduction is not that great. Here's one of the only other characters that you could use with Karam, because she has a pretty decent poison application with up to 3 poison hits. Maxed out, she would probably put all 3 up, given enough accuracy, so good poisoner, but poison's not going to be most of your damage is coming from on this boss. Zelota is often used in PvP because he has a ton of CC. Like he has a AoE sleep with a pretty high chance if the targets have debuffs on them. And he kind of has this shield slash little mini heal that works out pretty well too. So that's a good continuous heal, to be honest, and a pretty good shield buff. So another good healer choice. So Lich and Zelta would be great for healing. If you had one of these epics, one of the good epics to choose from, and probably a Seeker, Lich, and Zelta, that'd be a pretty decent combo. The rares, there's a few choices I think that could be used. Seducer isn't too bad given this kit. And I remember Stu Gaming did a video on using Seducer because he does have decreased attack. He kind of has the mini versions of a bunch of really good abilities. And if you were to pair him with Temptress, who is also in the same faction, you get a little bit of this extra ability with the block damage on him is really good, plus the ally protection. So another form of reducing a ton of damage on your team. So that could actually be pretty good. But you have to bring out Temptress, who is typically not that good. She has the debuff steal. The Leech is not going to do a lot for you on this fight. Well, I mean, sure, a little bit, but there's better ways of getting heals. And then this ability works when you have Seducer. It gives Temptress a little bit more damage. That's it. I wouldn't really go for that combo. It's not going to give you much, but if you're lacking in legendaries and you don't have enough epics, that is an option. Who else is kind of decent? Rotting Mage has an A2 freeze, I believe, or has a stun. Oh, A1 freeze, yeah. So low chance, but freeze debuffs can be good to help you get through the trash mobs in the beginning and CC the minions on the faction war boss himself. And he has a little bit of a mini attack buff and an increased defense buff on this champion, but the increased attack on everybody, so it's not terrible. You get a little bit of a speed boost too, so Rotting Mage is an option. Lower tier, will help you get through the lower stages, but not one of the characters I'd want to bring up to 60 if I could avoid it, because there's better options out there. Stitch Beast is one of the new ones that was used for the Zakara fusion, and he actually has a pretty good turn meter reduction as well. So if you have Stitch Beast and Lich, I think, and both their abilities can hit, then I think you have a pretty good team for CCing the Faction Wars boss. Turn meter reduction in this is huge, so very good combo. Undead Horde gives you quite a few options for passing Faction Wars, in my opinion, and they're not a super hard faction to gear up. There you go. That's Undead Horde. Banner Lords, on the other hand, I think will be challenging. Even though they have a huge pool of heroes to choose from, there's none that really stand out as really good. So it'll be interesting. I've started working on my Banner Lord team. It's actually probably my weakest team. It's the one group I don't have any legendaries from. It's the one team where I have only one. I think I have 2 level 60s. I have Knight Errant and not Oathbound. He's 50, and Rowan, I think, are the 2 characters I have 60. Interesting choice. Both super high damage attack characters. Most of these guys are 50s. Anyways, let's go through them. Champfort, in general, has the best HP aura for dungeons, which doesn't apply to faction wars. So that's kind of cool. I think this passive is pretty cool, that he has a shield and it puts decreased speed if people attack him. But other than that, he's just pretty average. He'll be kind of high HP and high stats, so he's a little bit tanky, but that's not going to buy you a lot for faction wars, other than he won't die as likely. Sathalia, they gave her a little bit of a buff, but it's still not fantastic because a lot of the bosses do AoE damage, and so if you're healing a single ally and helping them out, not as valuable as most of the AoE heals that everybody else has. HP burn is not that great, and Leech is not really enough to keep everybody alive, so I mean, she's legendary, easier if you have her, so you're just not totally not worthy to be in your faction wars team by any means, but not fantastic. I'd say the same thing about Black Knight, unfortunately, I mean, it's cool that you can't kill him, and his ability based off how much damage he loses, but that's not really the play style you want to go for with these things. You want to stop the bosses from doing damage by reducing their turn meter, or CCing the minions, not taking a bunch of damage, and then hopefully doing a little bit of extra damage back. It does have some heal and defense type stuff, so it can be pretty good. But if you had to choose from all of the legendaries, the voids are really good for this. Lugan and Septimus are okay. Lugan has this A1 ability that potentially can keep your whole team healed, so that makes him an option as a healer, much better than Zethelia. Richtof is kind of meh as well. I mean, he's like a debuff spreader, so you take a copy of a debuff, one random debuff, and place it on all enemies. If it was all debuffs on all enemies, that would actually be okay, and you could probably make it work because it's one random debuff. It's pretty mediocre. But these legendaries who does damage. Raglan and Baron are both good, so you can use either one of them. Raglan's been buffed quite a bit. This A1 turn meter increase on pretty much all the other people on your team, very, very good. So, and it's, you know, if you had a counterattack thing or something like that going, she can keep turn meter boosted quite well. A lot of people won't use that for counterattack teams though, because you want to keep your speed sort of in line, and that throws off all the rotations and stuff. But in something like this, I think that would be pretty good. Debuff removal and heal is very good, especially with all this True Fear and Provoke and all the stuff that might be going into the Faction Wars boss. And a revive kind of just helps you get the 3-star. Baron, just pure super damage. They did nerf his overall damage quite a bit, but you know, if you get this by pure sort of proc, you're going to be crushing the Faction Wars boss. So one of the top damage dealing characters in the game. But now, so the characters that you might actually have, because if you have any legendaries, you're probably going to be using them, but you still got to make a team of, you know, 3 to 5 other epics or rares for most people. Which ones do you choose? Horde was actually a paid character that you could buy. However, and most people who have played for a while would not probably buy it because they would realize you could get it from shards. But if you're starting off on a brand new account, Horde is actually a really good campaign farmer initially, right? So as long as he can one-shot the enemy, he's going to keep doing a ton of damage, and he can just keep going till everyone's dead. Absolutely fantastic. He doesn't really bring much to the team, but as a soloist, he's very good. For Faction Wars, probably wouldn't recommend using him. He might help you clear the early trash for the first few stages, but as you progress later on, his investment will go to waste because he's not going to be doing much for you. Oathbound is pretty good. So he has a good chance to freeze if you buff him up, but you're really not going to want to spend epic tomes on him because you're probably not going to use him in too many other places unless you're lacking in characters overall. But he brings quite a bit of utility, like offense utility to the team. So he does a bunch of stuff to the enemy team in terms of CCs and attack, and he's a defensive character, so he's pretty tanky. So I think he's a pretty good one to build. But to really get full potential of him, everything is based off skill tomes for him. And I don't think anyone really wants to spend 12 epic skill tomes on a Faction Wars character that you're only going to use once a week. Right? So, sorry, Oathbound, you'll probably be a level 50 character that people will bring for their debuffs. Seneschal, I saw him, I don't think he's great. Perfect Veil, I think, got a lot of value, or what would you call it? They thought Perfect Veil was really good, so the rest of the Perfect Veil characters kit tends to be not as good to balance out, you know, how good Perfect Veil could be in certain situations, I guess. So let's just say if you have them and you have to build an epic, you could build them, but all the new characters require more and more skill tomes, so it makes them, you know, more expensive to have, and he's just not really great overall in a team environment. So I would just kind of avoid him for now. Knight Errant, I think, is probably one of the highest damage dealing epics in the game. Because of this, his damage is increased if he has full HP. So he can actually crank out a ton of damage with this ability if he's geared and you know, full health. Might be a little bit tricky to guarantee that for the higher stages of the Faction Wars boss, but even without that, he brings a leech debuff. He's got target defense ignore. He's got a stun, which is good for the minions and things like that. And you can kind of crank out this ability a whole bunch if you can kill people with this ability. So I think he's probably one of the better epics to have out of the choices that you have. And because there's not a lot of good legendaries, a lot of good rares, he's probably one of the better choices for Faction Wars from this faction, unfortunately. Rowan, same boat. Super high damage, so you have to be careful about how you keep these characters healed, especially later on when you start taking more damage. Lifesteal gear is probably the best choice because they're going to have high attack, they're going to do a lot of damage. He brings a bunch of CC, which is pretty cool, and also has a pretty high poison spreading ability, which again, poisons is probably not most of your damage for the Faction Wars bosses. Oh, a loon. Thank you for popping up. But so be it. So what was I going to say? Rowan is probably also a pretty good choice. So you need a little bit of damage. You're going to need some healing from somewhere. There's a lot of little like minor continuous heal and shields and stuff like that. If you don't have the legendaries that can actually heal your team, you're going to have to choose a couple of the little healers most likely. And Azure or ally protection and shields and those kind of things. Azure kind of fits that role. Mine is not geared up at all. Azure comes with some CC and this little bit of ally protection slash he shields himself kind of ability that can help you get through some stuff. It's hard because I don't really want to spend a lot of resources on a character I know I'm not going to use, but I would say you could rank all these guys up to 50 and it would probably be okay. But if you had to start choosing level 60s, I mean, you really want these void legendaries and then probably a couple of these epics. So that Warcaster is like a mini Rosh card with his block damage ability, but it's only on a 1 turn. It only lasts for 1 turn. So to make this work, you kind of have to speed tune your team, I guess, so that you make sure he goes last to actually make use of this. Otherwise, your allies will burn their buff before they get a chance to get anything out of it. Also has buff steal. So it's kind of a cool combination. It's just that the only thing really lacking is this. If this was a 2-turn ability, Warcaster would be a top tier epic, hands down. He'd be like, you know, he's another rush card. But interesting enough. So I mean, you could potentially make a or could you? I have to think of the time. You could almost make an unkillable clan boss team with Santa or Rush card combination of them and Warcaster and Maneater. But unkillable teams is another hot topic for another video. My videos get longer and longer, but this is there's a lot of good information in here hopefully for you guys, and you've stuck with me for a little while here. Let's go through the rares pretty quickly. Crossbowman, garbage, don't build them. Grandmaster, garbage, don't build them. Valerie is actually a decent healer. Because there's not a lot of healer choices on here, she heals based off how many buffs you have. She puts a shield on you, and she also has the buff extender. So all those things combo really well. The buff extender was modified so that it didn't add to things like unkillable and block damage. But nonetheless, because there's not good choices, Valerie is a farmable character. Very, very useful. And I could see if, I'm sure that the Faction Wars becomes very challenging. There's going to be a lot of Valeries out there. So you may as well start thinking about building one now, because it's very unlikely for you to have any other really good healer choices from this. Preserver, I don't think there's anything special. Scorche, Cataphract, nothing special. Conqueror, people were building for Ice Golem back in the day because of the not revive, but otherwise still pretty mediocre. I mean, maybe the buff removal, but I guess the Faction Wars bosses, some of them had block damage or block debuffs and stuff like that, so Maybe you want buff removal, but not critical. Halberdier, Azure, Vanguard here, all pretty meh as well. And Steadfast Marshal, also meh. So not a lot of good choices there. A tough faction, not because of their lack of champions, because of their very single target oriented, not a lot of healing oriented, a few damaging and defensive characters that could be used, but overall, tricky faction to run with. Okay, that's enough about faction wars for a while. Let's do some fun stuff. Let's open the legendaries, fill up the vault, open the legendaries. Yes, let's open the legendaries, that'd be fantastic. Alright, another Sylar. Amazing. Happy to get, I really want a Skull Crown actually. That's one epic void that I don't have that I would really like to have. I of course would love a Venus or Warlord or Baron, those are all good. Hey, and Lua, the Dark Elf sisters. So you saw me using them earlier. I may use them as skill books because I don't really need any more Dark Elf individuals for my team, and they're both really good, but I don't think I would replace the rest of my team with 2 of them, but who knows. I'll keep them in the vault for a while to decide before I use those skill tomes. Cold Heart, good old Cold Heart. Fantastic character. And, oh, another Basher. So I actually had to level my Basher because there's not a lot of good skinwalkers out there. And I am using him, so I will probably add him as a skill tome or a skill up for my other Basher. Because I don't think there's any place I'd be using 2 of them, and I'm probably not going to be using them outside of the faction wars. There we go. Just for fun and Ancient Shard. Why not just max out the number of heroes just to see? Alright, Preserver, we're just talking about you. Not good. Well, decrease speed, a little bit healed and shield. This is kind of like the name of the Banner Lords. Is like they have a little bit of good stuff, okay, but nothing like really stands out. Everyone's just a little bit okay, unfortunately. Cool. Well, there you guys have it. Sorry, very long video. A lot of my videos normally are. Hope you guys liked it, and we will see you in the next one.